You don't associate British director Guy Ritchie with much subtlety. Ever since he first assaulted our consciousness with violent romps like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, he's made it plain that he's here to entertain his audience, and that's it. War film The Covenant is certainly one from the Ritchie playbook.
You still don't remember a thing?
I don't remember any of it.
I only remember the interpreter.
But there's a hint of a little more than you might expect. Maybe that's why, despite what it says in the trailers, The Covenant isn't in fact showing at a theatre near you, but only on Prime Video. It takes place at the height of the Afghan War, when nearly 100,000 American troops were brought in to battle the Taliban. Men like John Kinley, played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
John, you have tallies approaching.
John's on the hunt for Taliban bomb makers, and he's about to take on a new Afghan interpreter, Ahmed. Interpreters were vital in the war in Afghanistan, though their treatment by both sides was often hostile. The reason many of them took the job in the first place was to be eligible for special immigration visas to the US.
Why you want this job?
I need the money.
Don't disappoint. Turn out to be a pain in the ass.
No, not me, sir.
Money isn't the reason he wants this job.
The Taliban killed his son.
Ahmed and John don't particularly get on. Ahmed thinks John knows nothing about Afghanistan and its people. John thinks Ahmed is arrogant and insubordinate. Well, they're both right. Things come to a head when John overrides Ahmed's advice and drives his squad straight into a Taliban ambush.
Stop the vehicle, Sergeant.
We don't want to go down this road.
You're out of your bounds, Ahmed. You're here to translate.
Actually, I'm here to interpret.
John, you have tallies approaching.
The squad is all but wiped out. John himself is knocked out and about to be dragged off by the Taliban when Ahmed comes to his rescue. He then spends a sizable chunk of the movie dragging the unconscious John on foot over treacherous terrain, hotly pursued by fanatical bad guys.
Well, I won't back down.
For 3 weeks, this family believed you were dead.
Just as we're wondering whose movie this is, Jake Gyllenhaal wakes up at home where he learns that the heroic interpreter is stuck back in Afghanistan, hiding out with his wife and young baby with a Taliban price on his head. What happened to that special visa and the free trip back to the States, he wonders.
There wasn't enough for him to carry me across those mountains. Now he's hiding in a hole somewhere. I should be in that hole.
You could stand me up at the gates.
Jack rings around and in turn gets the runaround from the authorities. Nobody seems to know where Ahmed is, or for that matter, the visa he was promised. John is furious. Didn't the US Army make a promise to Ahmed, or if you prefer, a covenant?
Everything all right, John?
No, everything's not all right. There is a hook in me. Ahmed and his family are in trouble.
We can't intervene.
I am gonna have to get him out myself.
Realising that a man's got to do what a man's got to do, Jack takes off back into harm's way to hook up with a well-known freelance over there called Parker. Parker's played by a well-known New Zealand freelance over in Hollywood, Anthony Starr, who tells him he can't help.
Listen, you're gonna be alone.
There ain't no
You gotta adapt. Use what you got.
If you can give me the location, if I can get him out of the country.
It's too dangerous.
That's right, this is Jake Gyllenhaal's movie star. Having handed much of the first half of The Covenant to Ahmed, Jake's not giving the second half to some Kiwi chancer. So, with the Taliban on his heels, Jack's off into darkest Afghanistan with only a gun, unlimited ammo, and a phone for calling home.
You've become very popular with the Taliban.
I miss you. Love you, Daddy.
OK, it's easy to sneer perhaps at The Covenant with its unsophisticated take on a wretched war and a character only slightly more substantial than if Jason Statham had played him. And yet Gyllenhaal is rather good here. Those soulful eyes really sell the idea that he owes Ahmed. In fact, the whole US Army owes all the Ahmeds that they treated so shabbily when they finally left Afghanistan to the Taliban. There's a final shot in The Covenant after right has triumphed and the noble American soldier and the heroic Afghan interpreter get what they deserve to the applause of their grateful colleagues. Jake Gyllenhaal looks down the barrel of Guy Ritchie's camera with an expression that clearly says, "This never happened. It should have, but it didn't."
You think if I could be free of this debt, I wouldn't be? You think I have a choice? There is no choice.
No, I won't back down.
Guy Ritchie, for that one shot alone, you count as a real director. Someone who can give a genre piece like The Covenant a little extra meaning, even if it did rob it of a theatre screening. But perhaps it'll reach more people on Prime Video than it would have in competition with Barbie.